A genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else around him is losing his mind. Napoleon actually said that. And honestly, when it comes to managing your money, he absolutely hit the nail on the head. We usually think of financial genius as this hard math skill, right? A matter of high IQs and incredibly complex spreadsheets. But today, we're going to completely reframe what true financial genius actually looks like in practice. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into the psychology of money, specifically why soft skills triumph over spreadsheets. Our main goal today is simple, but honestly, it's a total paradigm shift. We're moving our understanding of wealth away from a hard math problem and looking at it as a behavioral one. Because as it turns out, doing well with money actually has very little to do with how smart you are and literally a whole lot to do with how you behave. Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture a brilliant technology executive. This guy was, by all accounts, a certified genius. In his 20s, he designed and patented a key Wi-Fi component. He started and sold multiple companies and was just wildly successful. But his relationship with money was this shocking mix of deep insecurity and, well, childish stupidity. One day he literally handed a colleague thousands of dollars in cash to go buy him $1,000 gold coins. Then he and his buddies went down to a dock overlooking the Pacific Ocean and proceeded to skip those solid gold coins into the sea like rocks, just arguing over whose went the furthest. Just for fun. And yeah, as you might guess, treating wealth like a giant toy didn't end well. He eventually went completely broke. Now, I want you to contrast that tech genius with a man named Ronald Read. Read was a humble rural janitor and gas station attendant. He was the very first in his family to graduate high school, and he lived in a modest $12,000 house. Yet, when he died at age 92, he absolutely shocked everyone by leaving behind an $8 million fortune. No way, right? But there was no lottery win, no secret inheritance. It was just decades of patient saving and investing. Now, on the total flip side of that, we have Richard Viscone. He was a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive, so successful he actually retired in his 40s, but he borrowed heavily to expand an 18,000 square foot mansion. And when the 2008 financial crisis hit, Viscone went completely bankrupt. It really highlights how finance is basically the only industry where a complete novice with zero background, like Reed, can massively outperform the best trained experts in the world. Section 1. No one is crazy. Now, what's really interesting about this is why people do seemingly crazy things with their money. The truth is, everyone's worldview makes perfect sense to them based on exactly when they were born. For example, if you were born in 1950, the stock market basically went absolutely nowhere during your teens and 20s. Those are your most impressionable years. But if you were born in 1970, the S&P 500 increased almost tenfold during that exact same stage of life. So you have two equally smart groups of people, separated only by the dumb luck of their birth year, going through life with fundamentally different, deeply ingrained views on stock market risk and reward. And we see the exact same phenomenon with inflation. If you were born in 1960s America, you experienced massive inflation in your late teens and 20s that sent prices up more than threefold. You carry the emotional scars of shrinking paychecks. It's real. But if you're a 1990s millennial, you've barely had to think about inflation for the vast majority of your life. So we really can't expect these two generations to react to economic news or investment strategies in the exact same way. Their brains have been wired by totally different realities. As the investor Michael Batnett so perfectly put it, some lessons have to be experienced before they can be understood. You can read spreadsheets and historical data about the Great Depression or runaway inflation all day long, but reading a book will never ever replicate the emotional gravity of actually living through the sheer fear and uncertainty of those massive economic events. It's just not the same. Let's do a quick empathy exercise to really prove this point. Think about lottery tickets for a second. The lowest income households in the US spend over $400 a year on them. And often these are the exact same people who say they couldn't scrape together $400 for an emergency. Now, on paper, to someone who's well off, that looks entirely crazy. But step into their shoes for a minute. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, saving feels literally impossible, and things like a new car or a safe neighborhood feel completely out of reach. Buying a lottery ticket isn't a mathematical error to them. It's a desperate purchase of the only tangible dream available. It's essentially paying for a sliver of hope in a system that feels totally stacked against them. So, if you ever feel bad about your own financial missteps, give yourself some grace. Modern financial concepts are incredibly new. Social Security only paid its first check in 1940. The 401k, which is absolutely the backbone of modern American retirement, that wasn't even invented until 1978. And the Roth IRA, that was created in 1998. We aren't crazy for making mistakes. We are practically infants in the grand scheme of economic history. We're all just newbies, kind of winging it in a brand new system.
Section 2, the twin siblings, luck and risk. Here's a absolutely crucial warning when you're judging financial success. Nothing is ever as good or as bad as it seems. We really need to clearly define luck and risk. They represent the reality that every single outcome in life is guided by forces other than just your individual effort. The world is simply way too complex, with 8 billion people and infinite moving parts, for 100% of your actions to dictate 100% of your outcomes. And this brilliantly illustrates the twin forces of luck and risk. Think about Bill Gates. He is brilliant and extremely hardworking for sure, but he also had the literal 1 in a million luck of attending Lakeside School, which was one of the only high schools in the entire world with a computer back in 1968. He got a massive, incredibly lucky head start. But he also had a best friend, Kent Evans. Kent was just as smart, shared the exact same ambition, and they were basically going to conquer the world together. Tragically, though, Kent suffered a 1 in a million fatal risk when he died in a mountaineering accident before graduation. It's the exact same force, the exact same magnitude, just working in completely opposite directions.
Let's zoom out from those extreme examples for a second and look at legendary businessmen like Cornelius Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was notorious for just flagrantly ignoring the law to build his massive railroad empire. Today, we call him a visionary genius because, well, he succeeded. But the line between bold entrepreneurialism and reckless criminality is terrifyingly thin. If the courts had actually crushed him, we'd be using him as the ultimate case study of what not to do. Risk and luck completely blur the lines of our success stories, which makes it incredibly hard to know what traits we should actually try to emulate.
Section 3, the power of enough.
Now, if you don't recognize the roles of luck and risk, ambition can take a really, really dark turn. Take the phenomenal, truly against all odds ascent of Rajat Gupta. This guy was orphaned as a teenager in the slums of Kolkata, yet he somehow climbed to the absolute pinnacle of global corporate power. He became the CEO of McKinsey, he partnered with Bill Gates on major philanthropy, and he even sat on the board of directors for Goldman Sachs. It's just a staggering, beautiful success story. And by 2008, Gupta was worth a reported $100 million. I mean, let that number really sink in for a second. To put that into perspective, just a 5% return on that sum generates nearly $600 an hour, 24 hours a day, whether you are awake or asleep. He had officially won the game. He could have done absolutely anything he wanted with the rest of his life. But what he wanted was more. He wanted to be a billionaire. His greed was just insatiable, so he threw his entire pristine legacy completely out the window. During the 2008 financial crisis, he actually used his board position at Goldman Sachs to illegally leak confidential corporate secrets, like an upcoming $5 billion investment from Warren Buffett to a hedge fund manager. He literally traded his reputation, his legacy, and his freedom, all just to break into the billionaire's circle. And the result? He went to federal prison, his reputation irrevocably ruined. Now contrast Gupta's spectacular and tragic downfall with the profound wisdom of the famous author Kurt Vonnegut. At a party hosted by a billionaire hedge fund manager, a friend pointed out to Vonnegut that their host made more money in a single day than Vonnegut had earned from his massively popular novel Catch-22 over its entire history. And Vonnegut simply replied, "Yes, but I have something he will never have, enough." It's brilliant, because the ultimate financial achievement isn't actually a specific dollar amount. It's simply having enough. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. True wealth isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about mastering your own behavior, acknowledging your biases, and deeply understanding the silent forces of luck and risk that shape our lives. Which leaves us with a rather provocative question to reflect on. Do you have enough, or are you confusing luck with skill? I really hope this explainer has challenged you to re-examine your own personal psychology when it comes to money. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.